My name's Lester. I don't even know if people know who I am, but anyways, that guy Tito, the one that you would be watching this for, he basically got kidnapped today. I don't know why, or maybe he did. Who knows? All that was left on the crime scene was this spoon. So he was streaming, and then for some reason, I came in to check on him, and that guy was gone. So I don't know. Maybe he'll be back tomorrow, and maybe he'll never come back. I don't know. But he left these kind of notes on the computer here of things that he wanted me to talk about. So I'm gonna be, talking about some of that stuff. And I can't really tell how many people are here right now, but it looks like there's about 10 million people here. He usually has like something along the lines of 20 plus million people that watch this live stream or his podcast. So I assume, I know, I didn't double check, but I just took his word for it. So, yeah, thanks to whoever wants to watch me instead of Tito with his, what is it, trillions? Sorry, trillions of followers. But yeah, I think he also told me too, he doesn't want me to talk in this voice for the whole podcast, which is kind of rude because, I'm only ever me. But for some reason, he wants me to talk in another voice and talk. So I'm gonna do like my best Tito impression right now. So for everyone that's joining in right now, I'm gonna be doing my best Tito impression. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. What up, guys? It's me. I'm back. How was your week? How's your week going? We're gonna be doing this podcast. I'm Lester for real, but I'm gonna be doing the podcast as Tito. So sorry, I broke character. I broke character. Let me go back. I don't want to break character. I'm a good actor. I'm gonna show you guys I'm a good actor, okay? But yeah, I'm just gonna be doing Tito's voice for the rest of this, and just go through some stuff, what I've been doing for the past week, what I've been up to, and also see what you guys have been up to and stuff. Just wanted to see how you're doing. Just wanted to see, but yeah, I had I usually write notes, in the days in between from when I last did the podcast, what I talked about. And sometimes if there's a lingering thread, follow up a bit later. Or I should say, Tito does. Or am I acting as Tito right now? Either way. We're gonna keep Tito's voice going here. You guys can really acknowledge my acting skills by staying in character as Tito and not breaking it into my Lester voice. So, yeah, I'm gonna keep character. But just before the stream started, my sister, she was playing Roblox. Roblox is the big thing going on with the kids. Is it popular? Not amongst the kids? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. The comments work on a podcast, right? Who knows? But I already knew that she would play. She would play with like my cousins, but she was playing, and the game that Roblox is like a bunch of mini games. And all I see when I see her on the iPad is that she's just like falling down a cliff. Like her character is just like kind of like that game Co-op where you're just kind of like lifeless and you're just kind of like kind of scattered all around falling. And she's just falling down a cliff. And you see it, and I asked like, what are you playing? And she's like, oh, it's called Break Bones. I think it's literally called Break Bones. So double check that for me, guys, if you can, if you're listening to this in your car or on your computer or on your phone, whatever. Double check that for me. And mentally correct me if I'm wrong. But literally the goal of the game is to break the most possible bones that you can. And it lists the number of bones that you break as you're falling down the cliff, which, perfectly fun game, just like anything that people, it is one of the very popular IRL pastimes in real life IRL. So I could see why they would want to replicate that over a digital game. But she's talking to my cousin and she's like falling down and she's like saying, you gotta hit the tree, you'll break more bones if you hit the tree. You gotta hit the tree. So guys, just a little advice for you. If you are planning on breaking bones when you fall down a avalanche cliff of some sort, you definitely want to make sure that you hit the tree, digital or otherwise, and you are almost certain to break bones and among other things, and possibly maybe the lights just go out and that's about it for you. But let me know how it goes if that happens. I'm curious about what happens in that case. Everyone's curious about what happens, after the lights go out. So, yeah, this is again I'm Lester, but we all know from what I've heard and from Tito that this is supposedly the number one philosophical podcast. So yeah, these are the things that we talk about, guys. But man, today, speaking of avalanches and snow, I literally had, for any of you that are in the Toronto GTA type area, probably the biggest snowfall maybe ever. Not I want to maybe ever. It's definitely up there. Like, and this is like speaking from Canada man experience, but I had to shovel that driveway, and I see people like stuck in the snow. It doesn't happen like that's not regular for everyone that thinks Canada. I can confirm we do live in the igloos. For everyone that's wondering, yeah, we do live in the igloos. We live in the. Oh, sorry, I broke character there. But yeah, like people were like not even sliding. I would say that they were sliding, but they weren't even moving. They were literally, one guy was stuck at a three-way stop right in front of my house, and like he couldn't even get through. And then there was another car adjacent to him, couldn't get through. And then the guy behind him's there, and I'm just kind of there. I had one of those two-handed, those two-handed kind of like like double-sized shovels, the one that you just put your whole body weight. By the way, I definitely recommend that if you're not trying to completely destroy your back. Those ones are good. But those type of shovels, those big two-handed ones, are not the best if you're trying to get the remnants at the edge of the snowbank. Like, when you throw the snow at the edge of the snowbank and it comes back down, you gotta like get it with the smaller shovel. You want to pick up. It's like forming a sculpture. You use like the big. I don't know. I don't really do sculptures, but I imagine they use what are the tools even called? The chisel with the hammer. But it's like, imagine the big shovel is like the big chisel, and then you have the little one for the details, for the face stuff, and that's the one that you use to pick up the rest of the snow. And again, guys, I'm not talking about using sculpture chisels to pick up snow. I'm specifically talking about shovels. But yeah, like there were some snowbanks, just to give you an idea of how much it was if you don't if you're not a local. That there were some snowbanks that I think the highest one was like literally about at eye level for me, and I'm like, I don't want to brag, but I'm like 6 foot, 6.5, on my Tinder profile, of course, So, yes, yeah, it was pretty tall. I definitely want to make a snow fort in that, and I made the weird mistake of trying to walk my dog in that. Because someone did come and do the sidewalk, but the path that I walk my dog, it goes through the park, but that wasn't plowed or anything. Mr. Plow didn't hit that. So I'm like with my dog, and it gradually gets more and more of a trek to get through the snow. And I'm listening to music, and I kind of realize that, oh, my feet are starting to get cold. And it's not just that they're cold, the feeling when the snow is getting into your socks and it's kind of getting embedded in the soles of your feet, and you just feel that, you're warm. It feels wrong because like your warm shoe is there, but then like you just feel these pockets of chilling cold. Because I bundle up, I wear my long johns, I wear my long socks, I wear my boots. But there's always got to be that little bit of snow that just kind of creeps right through the pants, right through the boots, and just hits the edge of that foot. Guys, you gotta love it. Shout out for all the foot coldenings that we've all had. That's a term for sure. Foot coldenings. Hashtag foot coldenings, guys. But yeah, it was hectic. It took me like an hour to finish shoveling that driveway, maybe more. But the thing that made it just shows how long it took. That when I started, there were people, like a bunch of neighbors that have like the high tech snow blowers. Ooh, I got my snow blower. No, I'm joking. Like if you got your snow blower, all the power to you. But I'm an old school cat. I gotta break my back when I shovel the snow. I gotta brag about the fact that I gotta complain when I come back in. Oh, you know how much work it was for me to shovel that snow? It's like those people that just want to complain instead of actually solve their problems. They just want to complain. So I'm in that boat. But we do what we can. We break our back. So I'll use the double-handed one. And also my strat. I'll give you guys my little strat that I do. If you guys are connoisseurs, no one's really a connoisseur, but if you fancy yourself an expert of shoveling the driveway, I don't know if this is a known strat, but this is what I do. Or this is what me and Tito do. We take turns. But I'll go down the middle, and I will like so. Imagine the center of the driveway, from the top of the driveway going down towards the road. So like this way. If you're sorry for all non podcast watchers and list, if you're on the audio end, basically if you're looking towards the street, like from your driveway, go down the middle, go right down the middle, and like shovel all the way to the end to make a walkway path for you, and then then turn to the side, and then put that into like bring that snow into a snowbank. Go all the way back up the path that you walked, and then with that path in the middle, you want to use that as like kind of an entry point for you to go back and forth on. So imagine that the snow on either side of that path is like a column, and you want to go halfway of that column to the snowbank, turn around, then come back the other way, then turn around, come back the other way, and you start hitting the snow diagonally without having to walk all the way across to get to a snowbank. So that also makes the snowbanks even. So you have like a walkway down the middle. I can't tell if what I'm saying is actually like easy to understand audibly, but just imagine that like it's cut in half, and then you shovel either side towards those respective snowbanks on the side. So that's a strat that I picked up on in all my years, because I'm a veteran. I'm a snowbank veteran. Yeah, those are going to be fun for tobogganing though, because these mountains are pretty hectic, and the roads are pretty clear. But I heard that there's going to be another snow day, so schools opened up this week for all you kiddies out there that are in school. But in-class learning for, I think, elementary and high schools has apparently started. So my sisters, they were home, but now it's funny, literally as they're supposed to go back today, schools canceled when they were like, for the last, like, since Christmas, like, I mean, since being back since New Year's in the New Year, they were already at home because of the Decepticon variant. And they had to, work from home. But now they actually have the day off when they were already... I don't know, I'm not trying to... Like, good for the kids, they get their day off. But it doesn't really... Like, it's like, couldn't they still technically do the online learning? I'm like that kid all of a sudden that's like... The one that's asking if we're going to get homework, or if the teacher's going to check the homework. But it doesn't... Yeah, when you think about it logically, it's like, okay, it's a snow day, but you technically could still do class. I don't know. I'm a square. It's hip to be square, guys. It's hip to be square. But yeah. It sucked for and the other thing, I put a story about this, or I should say, no, it wasn't me. I think I saw Tito did it. I kind of forget sometimes. We're around each other so much, I forget if I'm him or if he's me. But Tito put a story earlier on his Instagram of like, he was telling me how when he was shoveling, basically like the snow, like, there's, of course there's the yellow snow. We call it the golden snow because that's the cherish. It's not everywhere, so it's golden. It's not yellow, it's golden. You know how, like, if you're throwing the snow and it's loose snow, it's not packing snow. The one upside is that it's easier to shovel because it's not as heavy and it's not as dense. But the thing is, if there's the slightest bit of a gust and you throw that snow over the snowbank, that gust is gonna, like, the mist of that snow is like gonna hit your face like sand. And yeah, it was some of that yellow snow on one of the scoops definitely went flying into the face, and it must have been a good time for him. I didn't ask him how it tasted, but I imagine it was delicious. But yeah. I'd say that it was exciting other than that, but we on lockdown, so there's not much we can do outside of that. But speaking of lockdown, I have been, for those of you that have been keeping up with the podcast or have seen any Instagram stories, I've been watching the Daredevil series, of course. Or I should say, me and Tito have been watching it. Me and Tito have been watching it. But, sorry, I just keep, I get so in character that later I'm just going to talk like I am Tito, okay? I'm not going to have to correct myself now. I'm just going to talk as him, straight through, no holds barred, okay? Yeah, so I was watching, when I think I last left off with you guys, I was watching season 2, and, the extent of what I've seen, again, a refresher, is I saw basically everything released until I think Luke Cage, release date wise, like all the Netflix stuff. I watched Daredevil all like opening, like as soon as it was dropped on Netflix, I might have mentioned this, but I watched that whole thing. I literally stayed up all night to watch the first season back when it came out. Then I watched Jessica Jones, loved that. Then Luke Cage, then Daredevil 2. And I think that was the order, something along those lines. And I liked them all. But of course, this is like the big thing that everyone knows, that like Iron Fist wasn't considered great. And I hate that I said this before, but yeah, like I let that sway my decision to not watch it. And because of that, I also didn't watch Defenders. So this now is like me finally revisiting Defenders. So I watched season 1 and 2 of Daredevil. I didn't watch the other stuff. I just wanted to, because I pretty much just wanted to watch Daredevil. And then I did hear that Defenders, and I can confirm, Defenders does directly relate, of course, because it's the same characters, to the show. And, I'd say it's not bad. Like, it's good. I had fun with it. I think it was good. It was a fun time. But I don't think it was better than any of the individual shows that I've seen. So that includes Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Daredevil. Like, way not as good as Daredevil. But, the thing is that, if you like these characters, it's fun to see them meet. It's kind of like, the Avengers stuff, all these crossover events. But I liked it. And I like that, I won't get into spoilers, even though I'm a trillion years late to this. But I like that they didn't make it, like, it's a big scale threat, but it's also not. As in, it's kind of low key. It's not, like, in the public the way an Avengers thing would be. It's like, it's kind of low key. And it's not like, it kind of makes it work if you imagine that it exists within the Avengers world and stuff in that universe. But yeah, Defenders, it was good. Like, I watched it mainly to like follow the plots for Daredevil, because I wanted to like jump right into 3. And I had heard that 3, like, for the most part, I've heard that 3 was the best season. And then I did watch 3, and I finished 3 literally last night. So Daredevil season 3 is, it solidifies, all I'll say is that it solidifies that it's definitely one of, if not my favorite superhero show. And I know that's a tall claim, because there are a lot of great superhero shows out there, and I haven't seen them all. So I'm just saying, like, for me, it's honestly probably in my favorite shows, period. If I'm counting just those 3 seasons, like, I loved all of it. And oh, so great. Like, what can I say because, like, I'll say, what I thought of general broad strokes. I know that Tito told me that we don't talk about spoilers on here. We don't talk about spoilers. So we're just going to do the most that we can without, getting into it too much, if you care to watch Daredevil. But I think it's fair to say that, you kind of know that Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, is his main villain. I think that's fair to say. And I won't say another thing, like, about other new characters. So there is a new character that comes up that's, let's say, it may or may not be a major Daredevil character. And I had heard, mainly from a few friends, that they didn't like how he was done. And I haven't straight up spoken about it with them yet. But I actually loved what they did. But this is also coming from me not being the biggest fan of that character. And not like that I didn't like them. It's speaking so cryptically right now. We're speaking cryptically. But let's just say there is kind of a villain character that's in it that is super popular and is in it. And it's supposedly done, like, differently, and like there's a certain angle that this takes that isn't straight up what they do in the comics. And I'm just going to say, from like what I thought watching the show, that I love what they did with it, because like, you got to take liberties sometimes, right? But also, for the sake of character development, what are things you're going to do with a character that's going to make them fleshed out and interesting to fit the plot? And because, like, there are points where it seems like it's its own thing, but he does fit into the story. He's directly in the story. But he definitely has his own stuff going on, and it says about his childhood, messed up upbringing, and stuff like that. But I love what they did with it. And let's just say, and then the action too, it's Daredevil. It's going to be sick. That's one thing I'll say too. The Defenders, I'll go back to Defenders. The action wasn't nearly as good. Yeah, the choreography, like, the choreography itself might have been good, but like, the directing wasn't that great in terms of, like, they do that Hollywood thing where they cut so much, And like it became a more recent trend, and I think in the last few years of people realizing that like, steady one take shots are like even in Daredevil, it's like a recurring thing that is kind of a tradition that it's like a one take. And they did do that in Defenders in one bit, but like for the most part the action was like heavily chopped up. And the thing with that is that you can't really focus in on anything because it keeps cutting. So the one thing, and it definitely takes to some extent, at least I imagine it would take more effort to have it like truly down pat choreographed, which is why I imagine some studios might not do it as often in terms of it's maybe more effort. I don't know how it makes sense. I don't know anything about big budget productions, but is it easier for them to do that method of like shooting a million angles and cutting it a million times from one shot? Like, I don't know. Like, isn't that multiple setups and all that? Like, this is all... Guys, again, this is the #1 film school podcast. So, Film School 101. Lester Speaks. Yeah, Lester Speaks. But, oh yeah, Daredevil Season 3. So, knowing that, one thing, this is just like real life stuff, that the show was canceled back then. This is 2018. Which is, for the life of me, I couldn't imagine why. It's like, it's literally like, again, like I literally just gushed about the show, and it's like, I think it's all money, because Disney, I think it's a thing that they want to reboot their stuff. Like, they want to do everything on Disney Plus, so I'm pretty sure that's part of it. But I really hope that there is some kind of chance that they continue that show on Disney Plus. I think it's really unlikely, and they're more likely to do like a soft reboot of sorts, like a retake of it, because I think from my understanding, I don't know how much of this is like super known, but it seems that they're doing basically like a soft reboot of it. And it's so, but I think the thing is that what we don't know is, let's say they bring Daredevil and all those characters into the main Marvel movie timeline. What are the odds that they take things straight from that, or do they pick and choose, kind of like the way that Star Wars did with the old canon books and stuff like that, where they pick and choose what they want to keep? So I think that's more the angle they're going to go, because at the same time, for any of you that watch the show, or those of you that haven't, you probably heard how bloody it is, and that's one thing that I love that about it. But like, I don't know if I don't think that they would continue with that angle, because again, it's not even to say that like Disney's like, oh, Disney's soft. They literally, spoiler alert for Endgame, they chop off a certain character's head. Like, I don't see how kiddie that is, but colored blood isn't the same as red blood, so I guess, yeah, obviously there's an explanation there, and they can't show it as brutal as they show it. But I would love if there's any chance that they were to do that. But I think a big hope that people have is, and one of my hopes is, that he appears finally for a crossover with Spider-Man, because I think that's like a big wanted thing. Because it's a known thing that Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and Peter Parker like team up here and there on the they're both on the New York crime scene, so they're little neighbors. Spidey's around Manhattan and Queens, and Daredevil's around Hell's Kitchen, which is a area in Manhattan. Yeah, that would be fun. I would love to see that. But again, I'm cautiously optimistic about what they do in the future with Daredevil. I'm curious if they would actually... I would actually be more surprised if they did a season 4. But I know that, I think that Disney kind of has an ear to what the fans want to some extent. But, like they have they're known to some extent for being like, I don't want to say squeaky clean, like somewhat, but that's why they kept the Fox Searchlight Pictures, and then they have Hulu. It's just called Searchlight Pictures now, it was basically the Fox subsidiary, or whatever you call it, the sub studio that did more of their art house films, or like indie films and stuff like that. It's not indie if it's Fox, but you know what I mean? Like more of the kind of dramas, like the stuff that the films were released on there. And I think that, I don't know if it's possibly a thing to release mature stuff on under that branch, because I'm pretty sure I heard that Deadpool is supposed to get Deadpool 3 is supposed to be, and I think it's known to be Deadpool 3, like under the MCU, because I think Kevin Feige, obviously the head producer, for those of you that don't know, did straight up say that Deadpool 3 would be the first R-rated thing. So I think it's not totally off the table to have, Daredevil or Punisher with a lot of bloody fists. But I think another thing I want to say, side note before I move on, is that I don't even see, I think people also have this thing where they think that violence equates to being something being good, I should say. That because something's violent and you can see faces getting smashed, skulls getting broken, or actually seeing the penetration of a knife or bullets and stuff, and seeing blood and stitches and stuff, that somehow, it definitely is a cool plus, but I don't think it necessarily equates to something being good. I think that storytelling's first, right? So I think, let's say for an example, if they were to get the original writers for the Daredevil series, same writers, let them do season 4, but for whatever reason they didn't make it as gory, maybe it would affect it for some people, but I think if the story's genuinely great, people would overlook it, I don't remember, well, I can't say I don't remember, but there were probably times that people complain that something wasn't bloody enough or something, and this isn't me complaining, because I love, almost because of how dark it is, I love, and I would not change how the show is. So if anything, it's me wondering if they would even do that in the main stuff. Maybe wishful thinking, guys. We'll see. But another thing, and that just reminded me too. I also just today, because the Batman movie's coming out and stuff. When I finished, I was I've been thinking about this, and I even thought it for a while with this show with Daredevil, that it's literally the closest, I think, live action adaptation of a superhero thing that straight up almost perfectly encompasses the tone that I would want, and I think a lot of people would want for Batman. And which is what I really hope that the Matt Reeves Batman goes for. If it has any similarity in tone to this, it's going to be great. I love, as much as I love the Nolan stuff, everyone loved the Nolan stuff, the Tim Burton stuff, they all did their own thing. Tim Burton's, it was the first one to do the dark stuff, but in its own version, but it was still a heightened cartoony sense of dark, Tim Burton's sensibilities. And then Nolan went for the grounded realism. And Batman Begins kind of was the closest to doing, I think Batman Begins as of now is the best live action Batman movie that is about Batman, because I would say The Dark Knight is the best film. So there, before you jumped at me. And I know people might argue the 89 Batman, which I love too. The Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton, of course, classic. But they never did, and which is, it seems like Matt Reeves is doing, is taking almost that David Fincher approach, the serial killer vibe, the really dingy, dark, gritty, grimy feel, which is also what Joker did, kinda. Where it's it's showing that street level of if you ever go to New York or dirty cities, right in the hub of the city, and it's just you see the steam coming out of the vents, and it's you just imagine how filthy and gross it is, and that's Daredevil did that so well, and it pulled no punches. So I really hope that the Batman goes for that angle, because I think that could make it one of, if not, I want it to be my favorite Batman movie. I really want it to, because The Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies of all time. A large part because of Heath Ledger's performance, but the movie itself, story-wise, is come on, that's amazing. It's actually the best written Batman movie, live action, period. Animated, I would say Mask of the Phantasm. Shout out all my animated series fans out there in the chat, or listeners in the car, or wherever you are. But I want a live action take of that, or even something and it seems this one is doing that David Fincher tone, kind of, but one thing that I'm interested for, and I don't know if it is what they're doing, is maybe embracing the more the more fantastical elements of Batman, the more almost mystical and magical weirdo stuff, like Mr. Freeze and like Poison Ivy and maybe a comic accurate Bane, or who else is there? Killer Croc or Clayface. Like, I'm curious. Like, I don't know if they would, because I can't tell from this movie. But I honestly I think it could be done well to do that in live action. I just think that you don't have to take too much time explaining it if you just establish that those type of things can exist. It's like Marvel. Like, you don't, like, in Iron Man 1, I never would have thought that you would have a talking tree and these like celestial beings and all sorts of creatures watching that. It's like, but it's like how Batman is. It's like, it seems like it's a real world, but you have these other elements in it. So I don't even know if I do or don't want that in a Batman movie. I think in general I'd be curious, because I think people associate it as only having been done bad with the Joel Schumacher ones, like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. R.I.P. Joel Schumacher. And I will say too, with that movie, I grew up on Batman and Robin. Like, I feel like, honestly, like I said this on a past podcast, but it's so funny that my age range specifically, like if you're like mid late 20s, like grew up on so much stuff that like we were the kids that people like called like, oh, you stupid kids, you don't know anything. Because like I grew up on that George Clooney bat nipples, and that, and then but then also same time you got animated series, you got Batman Beyond, but yeah, you definitely did have bat nipples. So shout out George Clooney. Hashtag my Batman. George Clooney is my Batman. And Val Kilmer. Yeah. But honestly, I think they could have been good if they were just in a better movie. Honestly, I'm of the mind that anyone could be good, like under any, like it's just the people that that are overseeing you, your writers and your directors. That's the confines of your ability as an actor, I think. And like the director, I should say, should be the one. They're the ones that okay all the takes. So like, I'll even give it a good example now. One that me and my friends always make fun of in The Dark Knight is, and this is like on Nolan's side, because Marion Cotillard, I think that's how you say it, the French, the Quebecois actress from Inception, and plays character in. I love how I still don't want to spoil, but she has a certain scene. Her last scene in The Dark Knight Rises was the worst acted thing of all time. And that was like a mix of Nolan somehow said, cut, that's the take we're using. Like that's one thing that I'll say, like, come on, Nolan, you really took that take of that. Watch that last scene of her in The Dark Knight Rises again, guys. You know what I'm talking about. It was the worst. My father's work is done. Sorry, I had to spoil it for you. I try not to spoil as much as I could, but I had to do a little impression of it there. That was truly awful. But yeah, geez, we went a little off track there. But I didn't even say the thing I was trying to say with all this, like bringing up Batman again, and it ties it back to Daredevil. What I was trying to eventually lead into was that I saw this amazing mashup of, and I literally watched it probably like more than, or at least 10 times just today, of this mashup trailer of, like, the first Batman teaser trailer with the Nirvana song, the Something in the Way, like the one that came out last year. It was mashed up in the style of that, but for Daredevil, and it fits so well. It honestly fits like perfectly. And like, I like it almost as much, or if not as much, as that original trailer. Maybe more in some aspects, because I was like, the guy that edited that, like, he used all the best footage that he could have possibly used, the best dialogue that he could have used to replace certain bits, and just like he kept the same rhythm as the trailer, put dialogue where there was dialogue, or just bits where there were bits, and just made it flow the exact same way as that teaser, but with Daredevil, and it fits immaculately. Maybe I'll put a link in the description of the YouTube podcast when I post this as a podcast. But yeah, it fit. I got like goosebumps. Like, it was like so good, and it only had like 13,000 views. So if you look up Daredevil Batman style trailer or something like that, Daredevil, the Batman style trailer, and look at the one that only has like 13,000 views. Like that one, like I watched that so many times because I was just like, I knew that like someone had to have made that, so I looked it up. I was like, did someone make a mashup of this? Because I knew that because, like I said, like the show reminded me of like Batman, you know, and it felt like that the what that trailer did is going for a similar tone to what Daredevil did. So come on, like hashtag save Daredevil, guys. That was the hashtag when it was canceled. Hashtag save Daredevil. Can we get a hashtag for save Daredevil? Somehow audibly, can I get you to say that out loud if you are listening to this wherever you're listening to this? Thank you. But yeah, guys, that was that was pretty much the majority of my week as of now. It's been it was a good bit of fun, and I'm excited. Like, so now I'm on the fence of, do I watch the other stuff that I didn't see on the Netflix stuff? Because people have, you have an infinite list of things to watch, and things are only ever made. There's only ever more content being made. I ought to know. I'm making that trash every single day, working on it every single day. I'm doing it as you speak. And I appreciate to all of you, literally all of you that even choose to be here right now, listen to me in any capacity, because it's a privilege just to be able to make content. But there's so much stuff I want to watch, too little time. So I'll have to spool through and see what I end up, turning on next on Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever streaming service or whatever. Because I'm of the mind, I think it was since watching this season, and then even Defenders included, like watching stuff that I haven't seen like for the first time, and watching it for the first time is like, I want to watch more stuff because I've seen so much stuff already, right? But I want to watch stuff I haven't seen, and I have like everyone has an endless list of things to watch. So, that's that's just what's going through my mind. That's what we're ruminating on, guys, right now. Ugh. I don't know how long I could do that Tito voice for, guys. It was killing me. It was killing me. Oh, and yeah, so we're gonna be taking a little bit of a Q&A now, guys. Shout out if you've been listening to me for a little bit. If you jumped in, and yeah, we're gonna be doing that Q&A part now, guys. It could be a good bit of fun. You guys want to do a Q&A? I'm gonna be going. Let's see here. I'm gonna be going through some questions, guys. Do we have any questions? Oh, Z Ninja asks, can you say "Hey man, Lester"? Hey man, hey man. Shout out Z Ninja for asking me to say "Hey man." We got a few first time chatters. XOI Vex. Wow, feel like it's been forever since I followed, and it's the first time I've seen you live. Whoa, shout out Zoivex, man. Shout out you. Oh, and yes. Okay, so yeah, seriously, that one scene with the car door. Yes. I'll go back to the Tito voice for as I'm answering or responding to things. Yes, the car door, of course. Shout out the car door. You guys, if you guys know about the car door scene in Daredevil, that's all we need to do. Hopefully that car door is all right, guys. Oh, Laptic says that the Moon Knight trailer just came out. Oh, I gotta watch that. Do you guys know, are we able to watch trailers on stream? Do you guys know about that? I'm just spooling through all this dead noise. Who knows, maybe I won't cut it out, maybe I'll leave it. But yeah, this is the Q&A portion, guys. Q&A portion. If you guys have any cues for me, I'll give you the A's. You got any cues? You give me the A's, guys. And if not, then yeah. If not, then yeah, that's cool too. Wow, and shout out to YG Autistic for the Prime sub. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. But yeah, I'm gonna watch that Moon Knight trailer. I don't know if I'm gonna. I won't watch it on the podcast portion, But as of now, as we speak, guys, if you're on the podcast, the Moon Knight trailer had just come out. And actually, with the Moon Knight, I'm hyped for that. Like, I don't know the most about the character, but I do know there's some kind of mental thing going on there. And that's another thing. It's funny that I literally was just talking about Daredevil and Batman, because I heard that Moon Knight is in some ways more heavily compared next to Daredevil to Batman in the Marvel world. So I'm very curious about that. I know like a really surface knowledge of Moon Knight, but I know he's a fan favorite. Sword Stew asks, Q, favorite film and why is it Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed? Well, my favorite film is Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed because, of course, it is a classic. Did James Gunn write the second one too? I know he wrote the first one. It's such a bizarre credit that he at least story or wrote a draft of the version of maybe the first one. Maybe it was the second one. I don't know. But yeah, James Gunn wrote that. The first one, I didn't see the second one in theaters, but I saw the first one in theaters. The first one's an original OG. Is it a hot take that I like the first one more? The first one, I remember seeing that. It was such a big deal in like second grade. Yeah, it came out when I was in second grade. And I remember that there was actually, there's memes about it I've seen on my my feed and stuff, but how it's basically the most, not the most, but there's definitely a lot of like adult references in there. Like the thing of them, what is it? Like when they swap bodies and like, I remember this even back then, like me and my friends in school, back as kids, when, if you remember the scene in the first movie where they swap bodies and like just joking about them, like, ooh, I can look at myself naked. And the bit of like, I think it was Fred going into Daphne's body. But yeah, it's definitely a classic. It is a film. It is studied in all film school lore. Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. Yes, it was a body swap because like something happened with the ghosts and their bodies got swapped. Yes, but yeah. Sword Stew says I'm sure that awakened a lot in some people. Honestly, it might have been me too. It actually might have. That might be one of my earlier awakenings of sorts. Like, kind of like I was aware at that age, but I was also like, this is new. This is a new feeling. Yeah. But yeah. It's a good bit of fun. Yeah. But do I have anything else here yet? Yeah, that's about it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Unless you guys got more for me. You guys got more for me, I'm still here. This will be one of the shorter episodes, but I think we got a lot done of me literally just talking about Daredevil for almost an hour. So that's always a good achievement. I gotta spread the word, guys. I gotta put the word out there about Daredevil and how it's such a little known show. It's such a little known show that they may just be bringing it to the Marvel world, but yeah, well, it's Marvel, but you know, yes. Shout out to all of you. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. And now I can finally stop acting. Oh wait, let's see. One more question here. I'll take from another one from Stu. Is your grandmother going to be in future YouTube videos? She might. I would like to. The thing is that she's getting older now, and it's I feel like if I really wanted to, we could. I feel like I should, but it's getting a little harder somewhat to get her to cooperate in videos now. So, but we'll try. I want to. I would like to. But yeah, she still lives with me, doing well. But yeah, she is of course a fan favorite, and I actually love that. Like every few times people ask me questions, that is one of the questions, because it is. Yeah, I can't go wrong. It's literally like there was a point in my videos where like I just thought that like putting her in the video was the only way that I could do a punchline, and I did it for quite a few videos, and I'll still stand by that. If you want to make a punchline work, you gotta make it so that the character is suddenly old, and it's her saying it suddenly in a Filipino accent, delivering one line of dialogue dressed as the character. That's it's a formula for all success, guys. Formula for all success. Can you say that in English? Can you say that in English? Yes. But yes, thanks for tuning in to all you podcasty listeners. I'm gonna call it an end there for the podcast portion.